Hello,
Or
hello, 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 hello. Are we ready to go?
we are all ready to go.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. A great man, the man I respect so much. He's an executive and also a great guy in sales, marketing, and getting things done at the back end. This is a guy to go to. Daniel Ruth, thank you very much for joining me on this special podcast on executive dialogue today. Thank you very much, Daniel. How is it be today?
Remy, it is a phenomenal day. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is really exciting for me. This is my third time on a podcast, so I hope I still have the training wheels on. So
Yeah.
bear with me a little bit.
Good to go. All we need to do is just to add value to the people and talk to the camera, and that's it. There's nothing special about it. Talk to the camera and let the people get, something of value today. All right, Daniel. So there's something I've been talking about over a few months now, and it's about executive emptiness. And I say executive emptiness is a concept that describes a state of unfulfilled dissatisfaction and lack of purpose experienced by high achieving executives and entrepreneurs despite their professional success and the money that they have. So executive emptiness is not something new. It's something that we experience one time or the other. So that is my definition for it. And then some people say it's a psychological and emotional state where successful individuals in leadership position feel a sense of emptiness and void on lack of fulfillment or disconnection from their core values and personal life, despite achieving professional success and material wealth. What do you think about executive emptiness in this definition? Is it real?
Horrible with the way you just described it. But no, to your point, 100% real.
Yeah.
I've experienced it myself in my career,
Wow.
and I have a number of friends and acquaintances and people that I know that I would be certain would agree that at some point in anyone's career, you often get to this point where you begin evaluating. I have all of this success, but it just feels like something is kind of missing at that point in time. And I think that's what you're describing as the executive emptiness.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And I think the last time we talked last week, we also discussed about great things you are doing. I'm sharing my sales gap with you, and then you are also being at one point of that where you have this executive emptiness. So the question right here is, what will make an executive who is very wealthy, is doing very well professionally, doing well, and has material, well, still feel empty? What will make that executive to get to that state? What could have happened?
Well, you know, I think over time, one of the things that happens is all of us begin to change our definition of what success is.
Yes, I agree with you.
When you start out on certain paths, especially if you came the route through school, you graduated, you got into the workforce, you were doing what was expected of you to do, and you just kind of started climbing up that hill, whatever that particular hill was for you.
Yeah.
That was your focus. And you were so focused on that you did very well at it, you became successful with it.
Mhm.
But sometimes that tunnel vision also, you just didn't look at other things on the way up. And there comes a point in all of our lives where all of a sudden your field of vision begins to get a little bit wider, and maybe it was, oh, I should have started a family and I didn't, or maybe it was, oh, I should have traveled a lot more and I didn't. I sat inside this channel and I become great at this channel. But then when that field of vision opens up, sometimes that emptiness, it's not even so much the emptiness, but there's a larger space to fill, and that one
Please,
thing you
please.
were focused on can't fill that space.
Awesome. Also, in my research, thank you for that. In my research, I discovered that when you get busy with your career, either in professional path or business, you get so soaked in it, and then you begin to lose the 5 F I talked about. Family. You don't care about no family. You're like, I want to get it done. I want to get it done. Friends. I don't care about friends. I'm an achiever. I want to achieve this. And then you're living out your friend. Then fun. There's no time for fun. No time for having a personal time where you have fun. And then number four, no time for faith. Some people have the belief in something. It could be a Muslim, it could be a Christian, it could be Hindu, whatever. They don't have time, no more time for faith. And then finally, fulfillment. It's about work, money. Yet there's no fulfillment.
Yeah.
So that becomes a gap to be filled. And that gap becomes the void. It becomes the emptiness we talked about.
Yeah.
So let's look at it. What will make an executive to forget about this? So they're achieving professionally. What will make an executive to forget about his personal life? Things I've just mentioned now. What contributes to that? What leads? I mean, it's from good intention. They didn't plan that. But before they know, they already found themselves, I'm away from family, I'm away from friends, away from fun, faith, fulfillment, and all that.
Yeah.
What could have caused that?
So I think there's a number of reasons that this could happen. You're a successful guy. I'm sure you've felt some of these along your time too.
Yeah.
Number one, there's responsibility, right? You're coming up and expenses grow, whether you have a family that, you started, or just a spouse, someone who wants houses and things of that nature. And you've been taught, I mean, you've experienced this sort of this need, correct?
Yeah, of course.
And, so as you start going down that path, it becomes easy. I think we do it to ourselves too. I call it a societal norm, right? Especially here in the US, I think we do a lot of trying to keep up with the Joneses. So, oh, well, they got a new car. Oh, and they're getting a better car, and I should be getting this too. And next thing do you feel like in your life, had you, without logical reason sometimes, put more responsibility on yourself than you ever really needed to take?
Yes, of course.
So I think that very often leads to that narrowing down of focus. Like, well, I got to make more, and I got to make more, and I got to make more. And then one day, all of a sudden, you're like, well, I have a nice house or two. I have 5 televisions all throughout the place. And you get to this point where, as you mentioned before, but my kids are older. I didn't spend much time with them, or my relationship with God has fallen out of place because maybe I should have spent more time on that, which can definitely give people a sense of purpose. So I think those contributing factors of just that, however you grew up, but that societal norm and consistently putting more and more responsibility makes it very easy for us to lose touch with those things that are outside of our spectrum.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. I agree with you 100% because I know I also gone through that phases. I mean, there are different phases. It's not once, every phase you enter into that emptiness is like going to a valley, and then you do something about it before you go up. So it is what you do during that time that really change your life. Some people go into that, that state of executive emptiness, and then they crash. Some even commit suicide. Some even do. I mean, some do some terrible things. Some people go gaga. Some even they begin to have mental issue and all that. But for me, during this executive emptiness season, is the time I create a new product. It's the time I go within to ask, what else can I do here? What is missing here? What's lacking here? Why am I in this state? How can I come out? So I would put it to you, what are your strategies when you had this executive emptiness? How did you come out? What were the ways of coming out for you?
One of my go-tos is when I get to the end of a rope where I'm just feeling empty. The purpose is gone. I enjoy going out into nature. I mean, there's just something about, and I mean, so for me that, it's camping, and my camping has modified over the years. I'm past the point of the tent on the hard ground. Now I like to sort of glamp in something that's a little bit nicer with a stove. But, you know, there's just something about being in nature, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it gives me that ability to almost expand mentally
Mm,
into that space. And when you are surrounded, for me anyway, in
mm,
that environment, it allows you to actually, for me, remove some of that emptiness because I start to fill myself with that, just that feeling of you're sitting there in literally the middle of creation.
mm, mm.
And that's what gives me that key to kind of be able to get back in the seat now with a renewed focus on what's important to me and then go on that path from there.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. That is very, very profound because many of us are so busy working from home, from home to home, from meeting to meeting, Zoom and Zoom and Zoom, virtual meeting, and we never move out. Some don't even work out. We don't work. Some don't even go out at all. So I think it's very profound to find a place of nature to travel to and all that. But let's look at one critical thing in America. In America, you have to pay bills. And because you have to pay bills, people are really grinding their ass, really grinding and grinding it. How do you balance bill payments and life and life?
Yep.
Is there a balance between paying bills and living your life?
I will I will put this out there.
Okay.
My most difficult time paying bills is when I'm grinding.
Wow. Wow.
Um, they're getting paid,
Mm.
but I'm also accruing more
Yeah.
because what happens, at least in my personal experience, so my subjective opinion,
Yeah. Yeah.
is that emptiness begins to creep in because all I'm doing is working to pay
The bill.
whatever it is I'm bringing
Yeah.
in.
Mm.
I then have an emptiness, so I go accrue more bills because I'm trying to fill that
You
emptiness
fill
that I
that
was.
gap with bills.
Yeah, because it's what's going to make this better. Oh well, I'm doing all this work and I'm owed this time for a new car, or I've been doing all this work. I'm going to take myself out to a really nice dinner that is now just going to add to those bills. And then I come back and I grind and I grind and I grind. And, man, I'm so stressed out. I need to go on an expensive vacation that I probably can't afford. And boom, boom, boom. I find in my life when I take that step back, it doesn't say get rid of those responsibilities, but when I can get clear for a few minutes and say, I don't need that car. I don't need that extra vacation. Or if I'm looking for it, I want something that's a more fulfilling vacation. You
Mm.
know, when I really would sit down and think about what was important to me,
Mm.
that is when I could start to feel almost the healing of that emptiness.
Mm. Mm.
And you almost, in this weird way, and not to get too spiritual people, but you begin to befriend that feeling, and you realize it's not emptiness. It's just that you've been denying what it was you actually wanted for all that time
Mm.
because you were too busy living what everything else said you should be living at that point. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. Because there's something, there's a concept called executive escape. You want to escape to something because there's an emptiness, so you want to fill that gap and you begin to escape to some other thing that now drives you out the more. It's grinding you the more. Thank you for that. Now, on the wrap up, so to say, now it's the issue of information overwhelming. We are in the we are in the generation of not just information, overwhelming. There's too much information.
Oh yeah.
Information, I mean, the information on your app, on your phone, on your laptop, on your TV, everywhere you go, on your radio, and that can also drain you and can also put you on a level where you get dried and become empty. How
Sure.
do you manage this device? How do you manage the device, information, and your own health and your own fulfillment, so to say?
Turn it off. There's no other way around it. I force myself to put it down and just read a book, sometimes, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll sit there in silence, just in the room, and it's perfectly okay with me at this point. I've learned that, you know, our society moves on deluging you with information and things that you should be purchasing, buying, worried about, everything else.
Yeah.
And I made a commitment several years ago to myself. I said, I'm going to be the person that I can be. I'm going to impact positively the environment that surrounds me as best as I can. And as sad as I might find something overseas, you know, as something needs to be fixed, while I might say a prayer and think about them, I'm like, but I can positively affect what's here as long as my mind is not completely cluttered with all of that other stuff.
Awesome. 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 Right. I know, because sometimes we need to take a break from from the digital world, because overwhelming too, it's very dangerous. We get a point where you get overwhelmed, and then you lose yourself, and then you are off the track. The money you're looking for, the life you're looking for, you lose everything, and then you become so empty and all that.
Yeah.
So for the next few minutes, I want you to share your strategy of how you balance faith, family, any of them, faith, family, friend, fulfillment, and fun. Probably I've talked about fun before. So pick any of them and tell us, how do you balance it with, and people talk about family. So let me say, people talk about work-life balance. It's not like that. I believe work-life integration, because you can't really find that balance, so to say. But integrating is what I preach all the time. So how do you manage family, faith, fulfillment, fun, and I've talked about now. Yeah, just pick any of them.
Let's see. So I will say
Let's talk about
it's a daily conscious effort
conscious effort. I
to
love
do
that.
this, and I fail at it often and have to retool.
Thank you.
I've adopted a process of so I'm a big fan of transcendental meditation. So I've adopted a process, of utilizing that as they instruct you to do. That helps quite a bit to center me on a daily basis. And I try to incorporate all of those pieces just into my day. So I don't separate my day. Never have, to be honest. But you know, my family, my fun, my work, my whatever, as you call it, I think integration is really the best word.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't say, well, I'm going to be at work from 9 to 5, and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to see my family from 5 to 7, and then I'm going to do this and this and this. While I try to structure things out in some reasonable fashion, it might be 9 to 11 is I've got this opportunity to focus, and that's really what I'm going to do. And then, at 11 o'clock, whatever, my significant other calls or whatnot, I'll take that. We'll deal with whatever's going on there. And I just roll it into that day as best as possible and work to establish a sense of gratitude around each piece of it.
Gratitude.
Yeah. And I think if, and I'll ask you this, if you're living in a sense of gratitude, which is not easy all the time. But do you ever feel when you're in that sense of gratitude, it becomes very simple to exude that, and B, kind of manipulate all of those pieces into your life to work a lot easier?
Awesome.
So that's the thing, is I work consistently to cultivate that sense of gratitude, and then just say, I'm going to handle the day as it comes, and mix everything up. Plus, if you're not having fun when you're working, then you're doing the wrong.
I tell you. Finally, I promise you, final question. Now, the purpose of me finding out that executive emptiness is because I see that executives who are at the top of their career are really performing. They are really productive at their level, but they cannot move to the next level because of those things. So for you, what is productivity? Because productivity have to redefine. So I have to redefine productivity, because let me give you an understanding. I read a book and a fantastic man, which I respect so much, say, oh, get things done concept,
Yeah.
get things done. So people go in that path, get things done, get things done, get things done. But you see, people now got things done, they're not getting themselves done. So I said, don't just get things done, get you done too.
Yeah.
So I believe in a 360 approach to productivity, which is getting things done and getting you done.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what is your perspective of productivity? And that will be the wrap now. What is productivity to
So
you?
at the core sense of what you were just talking about, it is about getting things done. But I'd almost love to come up with a different word. I'm just not going to do it on this.
Go ahead.
But I mean, beneficial productivity. Let's just call it that for now. We'll carrot that.
I'm going to write that. I'm going to write it down.
Is that yes, you're getting things done, but you know what you want to get done, and you figured out how to incorporate your entire existence into that.
Awesome.
And I mean, that way you make sure at the end of your day, at the end of your week, your month, your quarter, your year, that your holistic picture is actually as complete as you can possibly make it. And then that, in times when I've had that happen, and like I said, it's not all the time, but in times where I've had that happen, you don't feel empty. You feel not only accomplished, but you also feel fulfilled.
Awesome.
And if you can master those two things, then that's beneficial productiveness. And I think that's, yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's the end. I really appreciate you for coming to the podcast. It's called Executive Dialogue, and we're focusing on executive emptiness today. And Mr. Daniel, Ruth has been a great blessing to us this afternoon in Texas. I don't know what time is it with you there, but it is an awesome afternoon in Texas, Houston, Texas. And once again, my viewers, my readers, or my listeners, wherever you may be, catching this from, I want to say, please take care of yourself, not just your work. Take care of your personal life as you're taking care of your professional life, because all that come together to make you more productive. And especially what Daniel just talked about today, beneficial productivity is a key that will help you more. My name again is Remy Dairo, and my friends call me Mr. Productivity. I'm a productivity coach, and I specialize in executive emptiness. Do have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you, Daniel. Have a good one.
Thanks, Remy. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye.